Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're the only hope I've got left. Everyone's favorite soft-spoken gentleman Jedi is back. The much-anticipated Obi-Wan Kenobi debuted on Disney Plus this week, taking us back to a seemingly familiar corner of the Star Wars universe with faces both old and new. Does Ben earn his status as one of the most beloved Jedi in the Star Wars canon, or does he have to return to the hermetic life? The champions are back, and they are strong in the ways of the Force, so keep it locked in right here, because this is the review of Champions. I'm your host and OG Sith Lord, Deathman. On today's show, the panel will review the first 2 episodes of the eponymous series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Be careful for spoilers in this discussion if you have not seen those episodes. You want to help the champions. Like and subscribe. Those are the buttons you are looking for. All right, let's turn our attention to the arena. We have an incredible panel today, starting with the man down under, Biz. How are you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Hello, everyone.
Yep, top of the morning to you, sir. We also have a new champion joining us today, Jeff B, aka Jeff. Well, we'll leave it at Jeff B to keep it nice and mysterious.
Just
JB. JB. How are you doing today?
And I'm outstanding. How are y'all doing?
Good, good. You ready for your first turn in the arena?
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, all right. Taylor, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Let's talk some Star Wars.
Yep. And Grandmaster, last but not least, the master of ceremonies. You ready to talk some Star Wars today, Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. Doing great.
All right, all right. So yeah, we just had the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi just this past Friday. It was great that they dropped both episodes at the same time. I think they were chunky and substantial. A lot went on there. And if I must say, in my own humble opinion, I think it really deepened I think when you go back to watch the episodes 4, 5, and 6, this adds a little bit more to it, but we'll see what the champions think. I'm going to start going around the table with Biz to get some initial reactions on what I guess amounts to the pilot episodes, part 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. So I hadn't, straight out of the gate, I'm going to rate it like 8 out of 10. It was good to see what Obi was doing in that time. Like, he was like the protector of Luke. You see that he has adjusted to life in Tatooine. Like, he definitely has accepted, I guess, reality, even though he doesn't really like it. Like, you can see he was a little bit defeated. Obviously, like with the events and the prequels. But yeah, it was good seeing Obi-Wan again. Like, he's pretty much everyone's favorite Jedi. So yeah, looking forward to more.
Indeed, the Jedi who is a gentleman and will sever a limb on demand if he has to. Jeff B, new to the arena and our freshest champion. Let's go to you for our initial reactions.
I loved it too, man. I loved it. I was sad at the beginning when we go through the flashback and it's showing us the Jedi, the temple, you know, and how the Execute 66 was being dropped. That really kind of made me sad. And then at the same time, we flash forward for that 10-year flash, you know, and you're thinking, you know, what's happening to Obi-Wan, and then you're like, what's happening to all the other Jedis, and you start thinking about all the stuff you've seen, you know, in the past. But it was great, man. That first opening episode was awesome. Just the FX and the makeup, they just did everything so perfect, right on point. I really liked it.
Wow, so you're happy with Deborah Chow's direction on the show? You like the performances? Do you think Ewan McGregor has kind of slid right back into the Kenobi role like a glove? Yeah, he does seem right at home again.
Yeah,
he hasn't missed a beat.
He does. the way they did the flashback scenes, when he was falling asleep there, at his house, and they were giving the flashbacks of Anakin and the stuff from the Sith movie. I thought that was really cool, and it just shows just how much he cares about that and how much PTSD he has from that event.
That's trauma.
So I thought that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really focused on a lot of cool stuff in that one.
And you know what else that did for me, Jeff? It also shows you that all the complaining about the prequels is a little unwarranted, because that montage from the prequels really showed that they have a lot of good stuff to offer in terms of dramatic storytelling there. But thank you for that initial reaction, Jeff. I'm going to move on to Taylor to get your initial thoughts on part 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I agree with everyone so far. I thought it was great. Both episodes were excellent. I had been avoiding spoilers and leaks and rumors and everything about this show. I think I only saw one of the trailers, so I went in cold. So there was a lot of surprises for me that we'll talk about. But overall, everything was excellent. The story, the acting, the effects, everything was great.
Do you think it lived up to the hype in terms of expectations?
Like I said, I don't know. I avoided the hype, but I'm sure it exceeded the hype.
Yeah, there was a lot riding on this one. People were like, "This is a make or break Star Wars series for Disney," as if they've been disappointing us all along. But in reality, Star Wars on Disney Plus is probably the best part of Star Wars, period, these days. But thank you for that initial reaction, Taylor. Moving on to the Grandmaster, last but not least, I think we're going to break our streak here. I'm sensing something going on in the Force.
Yeah, there definitely is a disturbance in the Force. I can summarize it like this: it didn't suck.
Wow. Okay. Please expand on that.
Well, I will do that, in my deep dive. But let me just point out, I love the acting. Ewan McGregor was great, and all the actors did a fine job. The direction was great. The effects were great. It's not that. It's just that it's a bit. I've seen it all before. I mean, I've seen it even in Star Wars before. The tropes used in those first 2 episodes. And if you use a well-known trope, make it excellent, and excellence they didn't achieve in my book. So it didn't suck, but it also didn't capture me as I had hoped.
Wow. So, okay, let's go through a couple of things here, because I don't think we could leave it this way. They had some brand new villains for us, right? They showed us another Jedi Master who was on the run. They had a particularly strong villain in Reva, I think, third sister, and none of that really, that all fell on sort of Death Vandermeers. None of it impressed you.
Again, it's not the actors. I agree. Everybody did a great job. Also, the third sister, Reva, I don't know the actress' name. She was excellent. I mean, she was believable. And but am I talking about what movie or series am I talking about? A reluctant master and a sassy young kid. I mean.
Okay.
We haven't seen. I mean, Luke and Rey. I mean, the whole Last Jedi movie had about the same trope as what the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan did, and yeah,
you're repeating themes. Okay, you're a bit fatigued on that.
And then the Last Jedi did it better. So
wow.
Yeah. So.
I think you're going to get some pushback from the other champions as we go around the table again.
That's fine, and I will gladly be convinced otherwise. But again, it was fine enough, but it wasn't excellent. I mean, when I look at this Star Wars at Disney Plus, I look at The Mandalorian, I look at the Book of Boba Fett. Those shows were excellent, and yeah, this show
this just isn't there.
Not there on that level.
All right, you heard it from the Grandmaster, everyone at home. Obi-Wan Kenobi, it doesn't suck. All right, let's go around the table again and get. Let's do a deep dive this time, guys. We're going to go around the table and talk highs and lows. We're going to expand on the discussion here. We've got general impressions from the panel. I'm going to start with Taylor. Give us some specifics in terms of what you really liked about these first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan.
I liked what they did with Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, of course, and McGregor did a fantastic job of portraying this character at this point in his life. He's racked with guilt. I mean, think about it. He kind of created the guy who destroyed the Republic and built the Empire. He gave a weapon to the Emperor to take over the galaxy, and he thinks he killed the guy too. At this point, he doesn't know that Anakin's alive.
Yeah.
So he's racked with incredible guilt. The Jedi Order destroyed partly because of the guy he trained, the guy he was all for. So that's one thing I like. The other thing I liked is, like I said, I went in blind. I wasn't expecting to see Leia at all. I was very surprised that she was there. And now we know the backstory of how her and Obi-Wan came together. Jimmy Smits, wasn't expecting to see him. And didn't realize his wife was 30 years younger than him. So hey, good on him. So he's doing really well, I see.
Yeah, like a certain gentleman who's being litigated against.
I really like the Inquisitors, the villains. I thought they were very interesting and very well acted and well portrayed. The action was good. I was a little bit at first. I was like, when Leia came in, kid actors are always iffy. This girl, I think, is an excellent young actress. But she was bratty. But then I remembered, well, Princess Leia was bratty in A New Hope,
herself,
so it was kind of consistent. I have to go.
Oh,
indeed. Okay, guys. Taylor is taking a quick break here, guys. I'm going to continue. Hope everything is going on okay for Taylor. But that being said, let's move on and continue our deep dive. Highs and lows. Biz, we know you're strong in the Force. Star Wars is your jam. You gave this a positive review in the initial reactions. That being said, what's stood out to you in terms of these first 2 episodes? And did you have anything that you thought was a bit janky or that you could be critical about? Talk to us.
I don't know, maybe I'm a bit biased. Like, I love the prequels. To me, it got a lot of hate. I understand some of it. I don't know, I just thought it was with Anakin Skywalker, his whole story is like a Shakespearean tragedy in a way. He was meant to be the chosen one. Obviously he wasn't. Fell to the dark side. He was trying to save his wife. But anyway, back to Obi-Wan. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Obi-Wan, so they can't really do an awfully that much wrong with it. As long as they I guess, for example, I understand Grandmaster's point of view. If you're not really, I guess, a fan of Obi-Wan or maybe the prequels, then it might not be sit as well with you. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, but it might be that. But yeah, if I had to criticize something, maybe I don't know, the pilot wasn't that strong to me. I mean, it was good. It's just that I know they had to introduce everything, but it was a bit, I don't know, run of the mill. I mean, fair enough that you can only do so much. You're on Tatooine, you're on a sand planet, so I mean,
right.
But the thing is, it didn't register to me until I made that comment myself that Obi-Wan might go off, or because this was mentioned almost maybe a year ago. I think I saw it somewhere, or we were talking about it. Because when I was looking at watching the trailer, that it was some kind of a city kind of environment, urban environment. It's oh, okay, now that makes more sense. As for everything else, I liked how obviously the Inquisitors were done pretty well. Like they were menacing. I definitely dug the kind of whole vibe and everything. I didn't really know much about them. Like I know they came from the Clone Wars, the cartoon,
Right.
the animated
These
series.
are carryovers from the animated world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I might have watched like one episode of where they were featuring it. Like I watched random episodes of the animated series, so that was I like them. So no problems there. Yeah, it was just good to see what space Obi-Wan was in. Like he was the protector of Luke. Um, it was good seeing his like stepfather. What their kind of relationship was like.
Right.
Yeah, it was good overall. It was definitely better when they were off Tatooine. I mean, we've seen Tatooine like how many times now? Like The Mandalorian, Boba Fett.
Yeah, we've seen it
um,
one too many times, I think is the
and then
correct
also
answer
like
there.
Jakku is like, really, you're gonna go with that again? Right? But yeah, it was good. It picked up steam when they definitely went off world, and I'm not entirely sure where they went, but yeah, it was good seeing Obi-Wan back to form, being his Jedi self, on a mission, saving and what could be more noble than saving Leia? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think of the child actor, Leia? Some people think when you introduce a child actor and let her have as much screen time as she did in this series that you're kind of slowing the momentum down. But I didn't feel that at all. I thought, the child actor was strong, and I thought that her motivations made sense, her fear, her confusion. She is a child. Did you have any problems with the child component of the show?
Not at all. I thought it was adorable. I mean, you can kind of like say it's cheating to like introduce like an adorable or a kid character. But no, I thought it was really done well. Like it made sense. Like well, you want to see where, I mean, obviously you want to see where Luke is, but also want to see like how his sister's doing, because she's pretty important too, obviously in the um, grander Star Wars story. Yeah, like she was great. Yeah, no problems with the kid at all. Very bratty, and it was endearing. So
And yeah, indeed. All she was missing was a British accent, a British accent that she would mysteriously lose like 2 minutes into the show, right?
fair enough.
That's a deep dive for Star Wars fans out there. Thank you so much for your comments, Biz. I am going to jump back to.
Yeah.
Let's go to JB and let's do a deep dive. Let's get your opinions, your thoughts, your deeper analysis of the episodes. Give us any highs and lows that you might have.
Well, like I said the first time, I loved, the guilt side that it gave us in the first episode. I mean, but I've always liked Obi-Wan, but that's just, it's letting me see that the point, like it's in Star Wars: A New Hope when it came out, and how Ben, meets Luke for the first time and all that. So it kind of opens up my imagination for that when I watched it, and seeing him watching Anakin or Luke, sitting on the house on
Right.
Tatooine, which I have to agree, by the way, we have seen Tatooine enough. We all know that it's a desert
sand planet.
Yeah, it's very isolated and desolate. But anyway, skipping all through that, I thought it was great when they show him going into the desert and retrieving his lightsabers, and how deep that was. Because when they introduce us to the Inquisitors, when they arrive on the ship and they're walking off, the music was just really like almost like a heroic theme, when they were showing them come off the ship going to the saloon. And so
excellent music.
Yeah, and it made the anticipation level was real high, So my expectation for that was, okay, there's going to be a fight scene coming up, and that kind of let me down with the introduction of this newest Jedi that I didn't know who he was. And then when the knife went at the saloon owner and it stopped, right, and then they show the Jedi and he jumps up and Reva is smacking him with the lightsaber, right? And it stops at his shoulder. was, I'm assuming that was the Inquisitor causing that to happen.
Yes, the Grand Inquisitor was sort of stopping Reva from. She likes to disarticulate people. She's a real sociopath. I respect her.
See, at first when I saw that, I thought that it was the Jedi doing that, and then I was like, dang, I hadn't seen him do that. But then I started, the more I watched, the more I realized that was the Inquisitor doing that. So anyway, from there, of course, they leave. And then when he approaches Obi-Wan in the desert that night when he's coming back, and and Obi-Wan tells him, do yourself a favor, put your saber in a box, go out into the desert.
And bury it in the desert.
Didn't think anything about that until when he went to get his. You know what I mean? At that point, I still thought that Obi-Wan had his lightsabers in his house, with him. So that really surprised me, and got me pumped up. But a lot of the stuff that in part 2 that was going on, a lot of the characters and things I've seen previously in Rebels, when I was watching that, because I went back and watched that whole series before this, while I was waiting for Obi-Wan to come back on. So I watched all of those over and over. So a lot of the characters in there, I've got a pretty good idea, but are
the Inquisitors in Rebels, JB?
Yeah, I think it's the main Inquisitor is in there, but I'm trying to remember what his name is. He ends up fighting Keenan. Is that his name?
You'll have to forgive me. I don't know the names of all the Inquisitor characters. I know them by their brother-sister names.
Yeah, Ezra
like
Bridger
Grand Inquisitor or something, but I'm not entirely sure what his name was.
Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah,
but I remember he fights. He fights with. I want to say his name was Keenan or Keegan. Keenan, I think. But anyway, he fights him, and that he ends up dying basically in that episode. But that's exactly who that reminded me of, was that character from Rebels. But anyway, from that point on, I have to agree with everyone with Leia. She was a very bratty character. But I've always feel like that when you have an actor that you can watch a show and you just absolutely either love them or you absolutely hate them, they're doing their job. They're doing good acting.
Yeah.
She was coming across perfectly as a brat, completely as a brat. But that's what, at that time being in the Senate like that, I'm sure that's how it was, But no, I enjoyed it, man. I loved it.
Yeah, it seems that is the general consensus here. Love for Obi-Wan. I was particularly moved. You mentioned the scene where he goes to retrieve his lightsaber from the desert, from that hole in the ground, and there's a second saber in there, and that keeps with the great tradition in Star Wars of a Jedi holding another saber for some other Jedi to use sometime in the future. Now that is Luke Skywalker's saber, right? I'm not out of line there. Thank you guys for helping me out on that.
Was Anakin's, right?
I'm sorry, because
it was Anakin's, right?
Anakin still has his because he got all three. I think 3 limbs cut off, and nobody took his saber from him. Obi-Wan didn't take that.
In A New Hope, when Obi-Wan gives the saber to Luke, he specifically says it's his father's, I think. So, and actually, it's also the saber that it ends up with Rey in The Force Awakens. So there's a story with that lightsaber, and I think this is indeed Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, but it is originally Anakin's.
Yeah, that was a touching scene, man. That whole scene I thought was pretty dramatic. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I thought it was extremely well done, and I'm glad you brought it up. But that being said, JB, thank you for giving us your deep dive on the episode. I want to turn to the Grandmaster, who has a slightly different take on this series. Can you dive in a little deeper and tell us a bit about, what didn't make it for you on this series?
Okay, let's talk episode 1. Yeah, I get it. Obi-Wan is hurt. Obi-Wan has PTSD, and Obi-Wan has doubts. And Obi-Wan is reluctant to go on the mission because of all the harm he caused by creating Anakin, which was Darth Vader, which Taylor mentioned before. But you don't have to do like 4 times in one episode to show that he's reluctant and that he sees things go wrong, but he doesn't interfere because blah 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 blah.
I would add that he's also reluctant because he just doesn't have the street skill. When he had to go back in and do some hand-to-hand training is also an issue there for him as well, Grandmaster. I'll add that.
I agree, but if you look at, you see him cutting the meat off the bigger meat and putting it in his pocket and leaving and feeding his horse thing. I don't know what it is, but
the space camel.
Yeah, space camel. But you see it a lot, and every time something happens, and every time he doesn't step in and become and is a Jedi. I understand they need to show that. I totally do, but they didn't need to show it 3 times. That's all I'm saying. I get it. I don't need to have it spoon-fed to me. That's basically what I'm saying. Then I've seen the reluctant hero coming back for one last dance trope 1,000,000 times before. If you're gonna that's fine, because I know about the 36 possible plots and stuff like that. I'm aware of that. So that's
what is
fine.
Star Wars? There's like 6 possible plots.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're gonna do this, then do it in a way that it's excellent. That is up to the standard that the Mandalorian set. Lucasfilm has set a high standard for their Disney Plus TV shows. Actually, Marvel is not doing that great with their TV show as compared to Lucasfilm. And Marvel is great, but Lucasfilm is on a higher level, except maybe for WandaVision. I will put that right up there, and Moon Knight. But so the bar is set pretty high, and if you're not, and yeah, this is just not it. And let's talk about Leia.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Leia.
I love the actress. No doubt, she portrayed Leia in a way she should be portrayed: sassy, bratty, not listening,
fearless, very bold, fearless. A tomboy.
Absolutely, she does a great job. But Taylor has said it before. You've seen child actors. Child characters. I mean, I've seen a lot also in Star Wars with Grogu and the whole. I mean, with let's not talk about young Anakin, but you know what I mean. You've seen those kid actors so many times. It annoyed me a bit, but again, she did a great job. But all those things added up, you get that ridiculous chase in the forest. Come on. I mean, those guys were walking, taking a stroll through the forest, chasing that little girl around with her short legs. That was totally not realistic. Everywhere there were 2 trunks of trees where she could fit into, and the rest they had to walk around and stuff like that. But they were not running. They were not shooting. They were shooting like stormtroopers.
That's a part of it. Star Wars. You can't hit your target. Unless you're Han Solo.
It's peak Star Wars, really. No, but seriously, it got a little bit slapstick, that chase. That could have
never send a bass player to do a bounty hunter's job.
Yeah, well, to me
that was Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In case you didn't know, the head of the head of the guys that were trying to kidnap Leia. He's a bass player for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
I was going to say, wasn't that Flea?
Yeah,
that was Flea.
That is Flea. Yeah,
I recognized him from Back to the Future 2. Is that correct?
Yes, Flea was in Back to the Future 2. He might have even been in the 3rd one. But that being said, Flea's acting skills are. He's a journeyman. We'll say that.
One-dimensional. May I say that? But The second episode was better. I totally say that. I mean,
give us some credit on that rooftop chase with Reva.
Yeah,
there, Grand. I'm trying to get something from you, Grandmaster. I'm trying to pull it out.
I see some negative talk about Reva online. I totally disagree. I think she is excellent, and I think she's an excellent villain. And I think Reva is one of those kids that ran away when the Order of 66 was executed in the Jedi Temple when they were killing the younglings. I think that's going to circle back. She has some beef with Obi-Wan, and I think that's it. He tricked Anakin after all, and Anakin killed all her friends. So I totally. How do I phrase this? Episode 1 was really dragging a lot, with a lot of familiar tropes, not executed perfectly or in an exciting way. So negative points a lot on episode 1. Episode 2 was much better. And I still have high hopes for the show, don't get me wrong. And later with my rating, you will see that I will not be totally negative. But it's just that, it got off to a bad start for me.
Indeed. And I think this is a good segue into going around the table to get our ratings. Grandmaster, thank you for that. We totally understand that you are not there yet with the series, but there's 4 more episodes to go. So that being said, Taylor, I'm going to take your follow-up, and then if you don't mind your follow-up leading right into your rating, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, I apologize for the technical issue I had earlier. I lost power there for a second. It's interesting what Grandmaster said there, because online what I've seen more people praising the first episode and criticizing the second episode.
Right.
Whereas Grandmaster has it in the other way around. Yeah, it just goes to show, there's a lot of personal opinion and personal taste involved here. And just one other thing I wanted to mention real quick, and I apologize if while I was gone someone already mentioned it, but Uncle Owen, Joel Edgerton, is that his name, the actor? As Uncle Owen, what a badass he was in this episode. He told Ben, stay away from the kid. You're not going to train him like you trained his father. And then when the Reva was ready to kill him, he wasn't going to talk. He wasn't going to give up his family that easy. So give him credit. What a brave guy he turned out to be. Yeah.
Very good point there, Taylor.
As far as rating goes, again, I thought both episodes were excellent. So far, the series is getting a 9 out of 10 from me. I think also, I'm sorry if someone already mentioned this. I don't know the actor's name. I'm sorry, but was the con man who was pretending to be a Jedi. Added a little bit of levity, but he also turned out to be a guy who's actually trying to do the right thing while taking care of himself. So I thought that was a pretty colorful character to bring in, and I hope we see him again.
Yes, that was Kumail Nanjiani of Eternals fame in the MCU. The funny thing is, when I saw him in this episode, I was like, isn't he already in Star Wars? But clearly this was his first time in the show. So thanks for the rating, Taylor, and for the additional notes. I'm going to continue around the table for ratings. Biz, 1 out of 10 lightsabers, 1 out of 5. What are you thinking for these 2 episodes of Obi-Wan?
Yeah, definitely 8 lightsabers out of 10. I liked it. So good episodes.
Outstanding. And moving on to you, JB, if you had to grade this on your 1 out of 10 scale, since you're a new champion, I'll let you develop your own scale. What do you think?
1 out of 10, I'll give it an 8.75.
8.75.
That stand? 8.75.
I like it.
Both episodes.
If you don't mind my asking, where did they lose the 1/4 of a point? What'd you take that from? Why could it be a 9?
Just off of the craziness in the woods, and they never really gave us an explanation where these guys popped up from that were coming after Leia in that first episode. So I kind of was lost on that.
Understood.
Other than that,
Understood.
it would have got straight up. But if you give these things a 10, then they have no room to grow. You got to give them 8.75 or 9.
You have to keep shrinking your scale. It's like Star Trek and the warp scale, right? What is warp 10 after a while?
Right.
But yeah, thank you for your rating there, JB. I want to turn to Taylor, who had a quick note for us. Taylor, did I see your hands up?
Well, yeah, just reacting to the question about where the guys came from. I'm not sure what he meant, but I think what they said was Reva found out that Jimmy Smits, and I'm sorry I forget his name, Father Organa, whatever his name is, Jimmy Smits had worked with Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars, fought together in the Clone Wars. Therefore,
Right.
She knew there was a relationship, so she sent those guys to kidnap his daughter to bring Obi-Wan out of hiding, and it worked.
And Jimmy Smith's character is Bail Organa for our audience at home, and Joel Edgerton plays Owen Lars. Owen Lars is that last name. Yes, but thank you for that, Taylor, in terms of giving us that little bit of clarification there. Grandmaster, it looks like you are up in terms of your overall rating for the series.
Okay, I'm gonna split in the middle here. 6 out of 10. Giving the first episode a 5 out of 10, the second episode a 7 out of 10. So I'm gonna go for 6 out of 10.
That's 6 slabs of unknown meat on the table for the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Guys,
that meat mine was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Mining meat from a dead animal out in the desert.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But that being said, guys, I do think that unless we have any closing remarks, and actually I see one coming in from Grandmaster. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe my Star Wars knowledge is not sufficient here. I've seen a lot, but not everything. But doesn't this show create a plot hole? Leia clearly knows Obi-Wan. She knows Ben Kenobi is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
In A New Hope, she says, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. But in that same speech, she also says that years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Wouldn't she know him directly from, like, you saved me from being kidnapped? I mean, wouldn't that make more sense to put in the droid message? I mean, it's a bit weird to say, you served my father.
My dad.
You knew my dad during the Clone Wars. I know I know you. I mean, it does create a plot hole, and it bugs me.
I don't know if it's a plot hole.
Slack here. They've been trying to make these things for 50 years. There's going to be a little slip up once in a while. I mean,
yeah, I know, Taylor, but
this mention the rescue from the bounty hunters or whatever. She forgot about that.
I know, Taylor, but maybe they will do an explanation. Maybe they wipe her memory or something. I don't know, but it does seem a little bit weird to put those.
Well, she was just a kid, you know. I mean, so she's an adult when she's leaving that holographic message. Think about it. When you were 4 or 5, someone saved you from a kidnapping.
Literally say in episode 2, you don't sound like a 10-year-old. So no, don't give me that. Come on.
All right. I tried.
It's a plot hole they created for themselves.
I tried. Well, she does say that he is her only hope, which kind of, like, saying that you're my only hope kind of hints at a personal relationship. You know, I'm going to stop trying to white knight this supposed plot hole, but I do think there's room for the rest of the show to kind of fill in some of those gaps. We'll see.
I hope so.
Indeed. So, guys, that will wrap up our review of episodes 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We hope that the listeners out there had a good time with us talking about the show. It seems we're off to a really good start, and Star Wars is maintaining its crown on Disney Plus of really expanding into the universe, respecting the lore, deepening our understanding of the movies that have come before. So yeah, I am totally looking forward to seeing more of this, and we're going to switch gears now. Usually we do our cannon fodder segment, but we thought we'd do something a little bit different because of the Star Wars celebration recently and some of the new announcements that have come out. One of the biggest things that we got out of that day-long set of festivities surrounding Star Wars was a new trailer, a brand new look at Andor, which is a series that I am highly anticipating coming out of the Star Wars universe for Disney Plus. I just want to quickly go around the table with the champions. Tell me if you got a chance to see the trailer, and what do you think? I'm really excited about this series because it's showing us a different facet of the Star Wars history. We've never seen the Imperials actually in charge. We've never seen the Imperial Senate and some of the fat cats and the big wigs who run this corrupt government, and what the rebellion was doing, covertly and in the intelligence arena during that period. But Taylor, let's start with you. Did you see the Andor trailer? What do you think of it?
I did, and it looks very good. It looks like it's going to be excellent, intriguing. Looks like there's going to be a lot of spycraft. I'm sure there'll be a lot of the typical Star Wars action. I really am interested in the character. I thought the character was really good in Rogue One, and I think Rogue One was one of the best Star Wars movies ever. So I want to see more of that character's development and where he came from prior to. So I think if they do it as well as they did Rogue One, they're in good shape.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot to look forward to in this series. We heard the voice of Mon Mothma in this trailer. Again, we're going to see some new characters who are bureaucrats in the Imperial Senate. So it looks like we're going to see a political side to Star Wars that we've never seen before. We've seen them on the battlefield. We've seen them in the world of spying, but we've never seen the Empire actually, go about the daily business of running itself. Biz, I'm going to turn to you. What were your thoughts on the Andor trailer?
Well, hopefully it won't be too political. I know fans are heaps like they sent a lot of love to the Trade Federation and all the politics in the prequels. But yeah, like in terms of Andor, yeah, it's definitely interesting that they're focusing on that character in terms of like Taylor was saying with the spycraft, like it was intelligence or covert operations, whatever he was doing. Yeah, it looked kind of gritty and a bit murky. Like that's what you'd expect from that kind of a series. But first impressions, yeah, it looked pretty solid. I'm not entirely sure. Like I think the word revolution was mentioned in that trailer. I can't exactly remember. I'm a bit fuzzy on the details because I only watched it once, and this was kind of like, I think when I was pretty much got straight out of bed, you scroll through YouTube and then I saw it.
Right, yeah. It was a reckoning that gets mentioned at the end of the trailer. This is what a reckoning looks like. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then I know there was a possibility of people were going to rise up, and then to be honest, I would love to say more, but I just can't remember much of it. So yeah, that's
and it's really a trailer that rewards multiple viewings because you see a lot of Imperials in it. You see Imperials knocking on people's doors and standing there looking appropriately menacing, right? Like they're going to pull you out of your homes. You see people kind of scrambling when they see Imperial troops, in orbit about to land on the planet. There's something very oppressive about the trailer, but just because of stormtroopers marching in the streets and people hiding behind corners and that kind of thing. But well, let's hope that the series itself leaves a bigger impression on you than the trailer, Biz. So, yeah, but no worries there. No worries. JB, did you get a chance to see the Andor trailer? What'd you think?
Yeah, several times. I love the beginning of it where it shows the guy going up in the tower and he grabs those two, I guess, big hammers,
Yeah,
it's yeah. On that, it's just wow. So it's going to be cool, and there's going to be a lot of espionage, a lot of spycraft going on in there. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited for it. It kind of reminds me, I've been reading in the comics, the High Republic and the stories about the Crimson Reign and stuff like that, and they give you a timeline in the comics about how each section of the story's been going, telling you where you're at exactly. So right. This kind of reminds me of the High Republic era, which is going to be pretty cool, where we see the imperialists, actually we see the vicious side, and the control side. It's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait for it, actually.
Because it's one thing to conquer a galaxy. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to conquer a galaxy. It's a totally another thing to keep your hands on it. Just ask the folks in Russia.
Right.
So yeah, we circling back just to Biz's comments just for a moment, there does seem to be a political streak to this whole thing. There's an anti-authoritarian message. Star Wars has always sort of been anti-fascist, even though it sort of glamorizes fascism all at the same time. So I think we're in for something different here tonally is what I'm getting from the trailer. But thank you for your notes on that, JB. I'm going to jump last, but certainly not least, to the Grandmaster. What were your thoughts on the Andor trailer?
Yeah, I really dug it. Rogue One is maybe my favorite Star Wars movie, or at least one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
It's my all-time favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
so
and Cassian Andor was a great part of that Rogue One movie, and an intriguing part. He is a bit like, he's not totally a good person, but also not a totally bad person, which is always intriguing. You might want to say he's a bit balanced, which is rare in the Star Wars universe. Usually they're totally great or totally bad, and this guy is a bit balanced. And yeah, I like that, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like the others said before, there's a political part to it, covert operations, spy, espionage stuff. What's not to like? I love that kind of stuff. So I'm going to risk blaspheming against the fandom by saying that Cassian Andor could be our spiritual successor to Han Solo. I think he's the closest we now have to a Han Solo in the Star Wars universe in that particular point in time. Given that Harrison Ford just decided he wanted to take a saber to the side and fall off some bridge, something like that. But all right, last but certainly not least, Taylor, did you have anything that you wanted to add about the Andor trailer?
No, nothing further. Like I said, I agree with everybody. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does. It does. Guys, thank you for that. Also in the news with Star Wars, we now know that the next Star Wars film that's coming up is by none other than Taika Waititi. We have no plot details. We don't know where it's set, but there have been a lot of projects that have been announced, and we're doing this, and we're working with Kevin Feige, and so we've been hearing a lot of different names, but finally we've got something that sounds definitive. It looks like Taika Waititi will direct the next Star Wars film. I want to go around the table and just get some thoughts about what you might expect, or what you'd hope for out of a Taika Waititi film, and do you even really feel excited? Does he feel like a good fit for the Star Wars universe in general? And I'll start this round with Taylor.
Well, I have not ever disliked a Taika Waititi movie that I've seen so far, so I'm sure it's going to be a good movie. He's brilliant. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of humor in it. That's kind of his trademark, and that's okay. There's always been a lot of humor in Star Wars, and more in some parts and less in other parts, but humor's always been a part of it. As we were talking about earlier, in Obi-Wan, the guys tripping over the trees in the forest. Well, we saw that in Return of the Jedi. The guys on the bikes hitting the tree limbs, and the Ewoks taking out stormtroopers and armored fighting vehicles in the woods with sticks. I mean,
and slingshots.
It's kind of a normal thing in Star Wars when you think about it, if you go back through it all.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Her legs are like 2 feet long. There's no way she's going to outrun those guys through the woods. We know that. But it's kind of par for the course. And I think Waititi will take some of that zaniness to new levels. But as we all know, I mean, at least from everything I've seen from Waititi before, he also hits you in the heart when he needs to. So I'm expecting action, humor, excitement, adventure, all good. What I'm worried about is the bigger picture. I don't know what they're doing. They need to make some sort of announcement about where they're going with Star Wars. They need to say, this is what we're doing in the Mandalorian time frame. This is what we're doing in the, Rogue One original trilogy time frame. This is what we're doing in the movies. What time frame are they set in? We don't know.
Yeah.
Is Rogue One gonna happen? Because I think Top Gun Maverick is gonna blow Rogue One away as far as like air combat movies go, and they may have to rethink their whole plan for Rogue One. But that's the only problem I see. I see they need to let the fans know what they're doing, and I'm not talking about a detailed layout for the next 10 years, but give us some direction.
Right. They don't have to start breaking it up into phases, but they could give us something to get excited about. And Taika Waititi is good news, but some details about the film, I agree with you. If they shared with that would raise the overall excitement. So thank you for the notes on that. Grandmaster, moving to you. Let's try to gauge your excitement level for a Star Wars film directed by Taika Waititi. Remember, he is the director of Jojo Rabbit. He is the director of Thor Ragnarok. He is the director of, I think he wrote the story for Eagle versus Shark. He's been all over the map with incredible films across different genres. And like Taylor said, we really haven't gotten a disappointment from him, regardless of what he takes on. So tell us, what's your excitement level for knowing his film is coming up next?
Yeah, well, Taylor said it already. Taika Waititi. I don't know about Star Wars movies at the moment, exactly for the same reason as Taylor said. I have no clue where they're going. I don't see episode 10, 11, 12 happening. I don't see. They should move away from the Skywalker saga. Reports say they are, but what they are going to do, nobody knows. And I'm fine with just getting random stories set in the Star Wars universe, but just say so. And it feels a bit that Lucasfilm is in danger of going the way of Warner Brothers DC, and that's not a good thing.
Wow, that's a dire prediction, Grandmaster.
When it comes to the movies, I mean, the series, excellent, and they make sense, and they're great. But when it comes to the movies, we have no clue.
Very true, and maybe Taika Waititi will be the shot in the arm that the cinematic Star Wars needs to get things moving in the right direction again.
Yeah, could be. I know Taika is gonna give us a great movie, but in what relation to the bigger Star Wars universe, we just don't know.
Indeed. Well, moving on. Thank you for those notes, Grandmaster. Moving on to Biz. Give us a little bit about your reactions on Taika Waititi moving into the Star Wars universe. And remember, this is a guy who's got a lot of fires in the iron right now. He is rumored to be directing a Flash Gordon movie. He was rumored to be directing an Akira movie. He is also doing an adaptation of The Inkle, among other projects. And these are all active things that he's in some state of production or pre-production on. Tell me, do you think he's got too many irons in the fire, or, can he take this on given his energy and talent level?
It's hard to say, but he's doing pretty well so far. Like you mentioned before, like Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit. He's also done, obviously, I think We Are in the Shadows, like the movie. And then
What We Do in the Shadows and a Hunt for the Wilder People. I forgive me for mistaking a Kiwi for an actual Australian. But
then his other show, like Reservation Dogs, like that was highly critically rated. So he's doing pretty well. Like I'm not so much concerned about his ability or to have his fingers in many pies, but also in saying that, like I am. Yeah, like his trademark is like his kind of like humor in all of his projects. That's what I'm a little bit concerned about. Like, is he going to put too much of it in Star Wars? I don't mind humor, that's fine, but not because I don't know. Like, I found some things questionable in Thor Ragnarok. There was a bit, I don't know, maybe some of the humor was out of place.
Okay.
But I hope he realizes that Star Wars is a little bit more, I guess, operatic.
Yep. There's a bit more melodrama.
Yeah, it also depends what kind of story he's doing. So, but yeah, I definitely have confidence in the guy. But like to speak more on what Taylor's point and Grandmaster's actually they get concerned. I'm also concerned. It's like I have to mention Kathleen Kennedy. She's still in charge. So
Yeah.
like, people have criticized her for good reason. Also, she's bringing under her leadership a lot of box office returns. So the credit where credit is due. But yeah, it is interesting. Like the talks of like Feige doing a movie, obviously with Taker, and then they had like D&D, the Game of Thrones guys. They stepped away. Not sure what the reasons behind that was. And then Ryan Johnson, whatever his name is. So it's a bit all over the place. I'd like to have like some solid announcement. Even Obi-Wan itself had problems before the actual series. So I definitely share those concerns, especially on the movie side. So.
Yeah, I think those are very valid concerns, and everyone wants to know what's going to happen next. Kathleen Kennedy seems to be in the picture for the foreseeable future, Biz. So, that's something we're going to have to take into consideration as well. What's her influence on this cinematic outing going to be? That being said, Grandmaster, you had a follow-up to Biz's notes?
Yeah. My feeling is that they should appoint Dave Filoni as boss of Lucasfilm. And he can map out a solid future for Lucasfilm and Star Wars universe. He is basically, is the English word, the prodigy of George Lucas. He knows George Lucas. He thinks like George Lucas. And he's still a young guy, so he could do it. I would have faith in that.
Yeah, and he's got encyclopedic knowledge of this universe and a deep love for the drama and storytelling of it. So he just seems like a natural choice. I'm not sure why they're not willing to give him the big chair at this point, but fingers crossed, right? Yeah,
always
crossed.
So JB, you're the last to sound off on Taika Waititi's Star Wars film project. In addition to all the things that I said he was working on before, he's actually even working on a Time Bandits TV show. I just snuck a peek at his IMDb. This is a busy guy. But what's your level of excitement, JB? What do you think? Are you ready for a Star Wars film directed by Taika Waititi?
I didn't know anything about it until yesterday. I saw it like all over the internet. I had no idea that he was even involved in Star Wars. But I mean, if he does what he's known for and he approaches it the way he did Ragnarok, I think I think it'll be good. I mean, I feel like all of us. I hope it's not like too much humor. I hope it's balanced out, which I think it will. I mean, I don't think he wants to destroy, the legend of Star Wars. I don't think that he would want to do that. So I'm hoping that he'll get the right people involved around him to do it, and I think he will. But I honestly didn't know anything about it till yesterday. So it completely surprised me.
Okay. But it sounds like overall you're feeling pretty good about it.
I'm hoping, I mean, I'm like everybody. I've got my fingers crossed, because he has a lot going on. I mean, a lot. So, but, who knows?
Well, we will see. Taylor, you had a follow-up to Jeff's notes?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that they've announced that Taika Waititi is going to direct a Star Wars movie and given us no indication that I'm aware of what the movie is and what the story is. So maybe, maybe it revolves around a whole new character who's more comical than what we're used to.
Yeah. And I think
as 2023 too, they're shooting for the latter part of 2023.
Next year.
So they have to drop a lot of information on the public pretty quick, to get everybody on board with what's going on. So that's what makes me nervous.
Yeah, and I think rightly so. Grandmaster?
I don't have a follow-up, but I do have some news. Star Wars related. Do you want it?
Sure, please.
Streaming fall 2022, only on Disney Plus. anthology of original animated shorts. Each story featured Jedi from the prequel era, Tales of the Jedi.
Wow.
Just announced.
Okay, that sounds like their version of What If, an anthology series about Jedi.
Is it Lego?
No. Animated. A younger Qui-Gon and a younger Dooku. So stuff like that.
Okay.
That sounds cool.
So
yeah.
And Star Wars animation is absolutely great. Don't get
yeah.
Yeah, so I really like the Bad Batchman, but that's another story. But Star Wars Celebration is still going on, so there's still news coming from there.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So, and what we've really had, I'll just share just a couple of other notes with the listeners out there. We also heard that Jude Law and John Watts are also going to be associated with some Star Wars projects. No real details on any of those projects to discuss. We know Jude Law has a really good reputation. We know John Watts has been doing fantastic work with the MCU. So it looks like the Star Wars universe is really marshaling talent, getting the best minds involved that they can. But they haven't really done much in the way of developing new stories or telling us about which new corners of the universe they plan to open up. But I guess we'll see, guys. So unless we have any other notes about Star Wars or any other additions, I'd like to take us out into a new thread regarding the MCU. Guys, to put it simply, we saw a brand new trailer for Thor, Love and Thunder. This would be the second, I guess, the actual trailer as opposed to the teaser that we saw first. We saw a lot of new elements for the film in there. I would say that trailer was packed with so much information as to almost be a little bit spoilery in terms of the film. I tried to exercise some discipline and not watch it, but then the hype got me. And I had to get it on. I had to watch it, and then I had to watch it again. But this isn't about me. I'm going to go around the table and sort of get the thoughts from the panel in terms of what you thought of that trailer. Starting with you, JB.
I loved it, man. I thought it was awesome, and I saw a lot of stuff in there that is coming out of Jason Aaron's comic book run from way back. But I really like the way they're doing gore. I just hope that they expand on it the way I think they're going to. Because Gore is a vicious character in the comic, so I'm hoping that they actually keep him that way in the movie. But I liked that. I thought seeing Natalie Portman, totally different version of Natalie Portman that I was not expecting. I mean, she's buffed out, she's cut. You can see the biceps and triceps are ripped. Yeah, and so's Chris Hemsworth, man. I mean, but wow. I like the beginning of it where it shows Gore talking to the planet of kids. I forget what planet that is, but I think they're all like blue. I think it's like a blue planet. But he's giving them the story, which I thought was just awesome. So obviously in this trailer we see that while he's giving the story, we see Thor working out, getting rid of the dad bod, so we're going to see that transformation. But no, it's awesome. I just hope that they do Gore the diligence that he deserves as a villain in the MCU. I hope it's not a one and done villain, because and they show it in the trailer just briefly. He is reaching out and grabbing the sword, which is the Necro sword, which ties him to the symbiotes, which ties us to the planet Clintar, which then ties us to Null. So there's a lot there that I hope that they keep around so that they can expand on that. I know it's not going to be in this movie because there's way too much to do, but that sword plays a huge role in Marvel, and it even ties back to some of the Black Knight and Blade. So I'm excited about it, man. I just hope that that they give him the due diligence that he deserves as a villain. But no, I can tell by that trailer it's going to be a great movie, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think Gore is frequently cited as one of the best Marvel villains that's probably come around in a decade in the comic books. I think, anyone who's reading the funnies anymore could agree with me on that. Totally metal name, Gore the God Butcher. So you kind of have to deliver on it on that basis. And then you also have Christian Bale, and you just don't want to waste him as a resource in your movie. But thank you so much for those notes, JB. I'm going to move on to Biz. And for you, for both you, Jeff, and for Biz, I might have some heartbreaking news here in that the Necro Sword might not be what we imagine it to be, because it is tied to the symbiotes, which is in the custody of Sony right now. So we may get a different incarnation of that sword. I just want to put that out there so you guys adjust expectations to match. But Biz, tell me what you thought of that new trailer. Speaking of a busy guy, right, Taika Waititi, speaking of a guy being really busy, we were just talking about him in Star Wars, and now we're looking at some of his final product on Thor. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a great trailer. It's always interesting to see how the MCU can attract talent. Like for example, obviously with Bale. So everyone wants to be in the MCU. Bale always gives an outstanding performance. He always gives 110%. So it'll be really interesting how he portrays Gore. Like, you didn't see that much, obviously, in the trailer. Like, they're just teasing him, obviously. But I liked what I saw so far. And then to JB's point, yeah, it's going to be very interesting how they handle Gore and the whole symbiote side with this sword. Because like that sword comes from, I think, like a symbiote god or something.
Yeah.
And then
in the comics, it is the sword that was used to decapitate the Celestial at Nowhere. That very sword. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's got a pretty massive history. And then obviously we do know that Venom will be in the MCU because of that after credit scene in Spider-Man No Way Home, where like a little piece of the symbiote. But anyway, it'll just be definitely interesting. It's the character, like, is obviously called Thor the God Butcher. I mean, there was already speculation that he might have appeared in Moon Knight, but obviously that didn't happen. There was no slaying of Egyptian gods, so they lived to fight another day.
They live to be slayed in this movie. We'll see.
It was good seeing Gore. At least you got a taste of him. But as for Taika, he definitely has ability. Also, we forgot to mention that he has actually directed some Star Wars episodes as well. With can't remember.
You are absolutely right about that. It was The Mandalorian. He directed I think 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was either like in the first season, the finale, or the episode just before that. I can't exactly remember in the first season, but yeah, he's definitely had some experience. So at least he's had and he did a phenomenal job there. Taika, he's doing all the right things. So, like, his career trajectory after Thor Ragnarok is like
it's just through the roof. It's explosive. Yeah. And not only was that a good catch, Biz, in terms of those episodes he directed of The Mandalorian, but they were some of the most well-received episodes of that season. So, maybe our worry, none of us seem worried about Taika himself. We're just worried about the overall health of the Star Wars universe in cinema in terms of, what's going on there. But thanks for your notes, Biz. I want to take a moment to jump to Grandmaster to get your thoughts on Thor 4, this brand new trailer. Are all the pieces coming together in a way that you think is working well here?
Well, that trailer flicked hard, maybe even a little bit too hard. I loved it from start to finish. Like JB said, that sort of classroom where Cork sits there and tells a story, and Natalie Portman even looked really great in this movie, and well, that's a rare thing. Not a real big fan. Chris Hemsworth. Of course, it has the Guardians in it. I mean, this movie is going to be so awesome. And then, in one line, delivered by Christian Bale, I was sold on it. I mean, he looked awesome. He felt awesome. I do understand he does not look exactly like Gore does in
He
the
does
comics,
not.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, the MCU is known for those kind of changes. So, and we're still a month away, and they could still do a lot of things. I mean, I said it before about the She-Hulk trailer. People were criticizing it now already. You can see on Disney Plus a better looking trailer with better looking CGI. So people need to hold their horses and watch it in the movie theater and be happy what they get. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Marvel will deliver, and I'm 100% sure Christian Bale will deliver. And I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was a win because it wasn't what it was leaked to be, if I say that correctly.
Yep.
But Thor: Love and Thunder is by far my most anticipated MCU movie of the year. And there's no comparison.
Well, you heard it here. The Grandmaster giving the laws down, handing them down. Thor 4, most anticipated film of the year for the MCU. And that brings us last, but certainly not least, Taylor, Space Viking. He's back. What do you think about this new trailer?
Yeah, I just echo what everybody else said. It looks fabulous. I think the colors, the costumes, the settings all look very Kirby-esque to me. It's all bright, it's complex, it's elaborate. Yeah. We saw Zeus looking awesome.
For
we
sure.
Saw lots of little quick things and action scenes. There's going to be a lot of action in this thing, and the Guardians and Jane and Thor and Valkyrie, they are all going to be playing a big part in all of the action, apparently. I mean, you can only tell so much from the trailer, but all the indications are there's going to be a ton of action. There's going to be a ton of spectacle. Villain, come on. Thor the God Killer looks amazing. We all know how well the guy can act. So I don't think we're going to have a villain issue, which never existed in the MCU
in the first place.
People pretend it does. Not going to be able to say that about this movie. So yeah, looking forward to it immensely.
Outstanding. Usually wherever you find Zeus, there's a Hercules. Not to spin up the speculation machine too early in the game, guys, but Taylor, just want to get a quick thought from you on that. Do you think we might see the son of Zeus in this film?
Yeah, I sure hope so, and I think would be totally appropriate, of course. And then 2 weeks later, announcement of Hercules, the movie.
Right.
Directed by Sam Raimi, of course. He has a ton of experience with Hercules.
You just made Grandmaster's day with that, guys. But lots of great talk on this Thor
Raimi fanboys.
We've got a lot of great excitement here for Thor 4. I think we're all looking for it. We have very few complaints or concerns about it. We know that this is probably going to be another spectacular outing for the God of Thunder. So that being said, that wraps us, gentlemen. That really brings us to the conclusion of another episode of the Podcast of Champions. As always, I want to thank the panel for joining me today, including our new champion that just joined us, JB. I want to say thanks to our listeners as well. Remember, you can join the conversation on sakaar.freeforums.net, and you can also join the conversation with us by following us on Twitter and on Facebook. My friends, it is a crazy world out there, so please be vigilant and be safe. Until next time, my name is Lord Deathman, and I am signing off for the Champions.